The other week, I found myself enveloped in the countryside air of Nanu, France, if I said it right. I had a shaky but ultimately safe United Airlines flight from the land of bombs and excess to the home of baguettes and espresso. And holy fuck, the espresso over here is so good. Like I'm actually not even capping. I was staying at the Chateau de Boutonvilliers, a massive manor hidden away in the sleepy region of Denois. Dunois? Dunois. Dunois. Here it is.
Dunois.
About an hour away from Paris. The estate has a small vegetable garden accompanied by a swimming pool, pond, a couple geese, 11 bedrooms, and a 19th century chapel remodeled from a real-life retired 16th century dovecot. And I mean it when I say massive. The chateau is surrounded by 20 hectares of beautiful forestry and the perfect amount of Gothic aura to watch something like the Blair Witch Project in one of its 5 sitting rooms. The house is the property of the Verdun's, a surviving family of French nobility dating back to 1410, originally hailing from Normandy, though according to our Lord and open source oracle Wikipedia, they can trace their origins or their lineage all the way back to possibly 1095. They're so old they have a fucking book about them that I swipe. Unclutch your pearls. The property manager said I could take any book written in English because no one reads them anyway. I told her, don't worry, we have the same problem in the States. To say this place had an old money stench would be severely shorting the stock, to say the least. The owner is a direct descendant of the Verdun nobility and does hold an official lordship title. He doesn't use it though, and that's when I found out that I guess not all French people are assholes. The place was honestly overstimulating in the way that everything is customized and curated. There's no place for your eyes to rest really. Every inch, panel, and picture frame appears like a young boy with tuberculosis crafted it by hand. And the craziest part, we had the whole kit and caboodle to ourselves for the entire week. Which I'm sure at this point naturally begs the question, if you're still here, what the hell was I even doing here? Well, my 2 best friends, Karisha and Steven, were getting married. I'm a little older than them, but I've known them since I was in high school. We were floor mates in undergrad and housemates while I was in grad school. They've been stuck to each other like rice since I knew them, so this was less a surprise and more like, finally, the mangaka's making it canon. They're more than likely the longest friendships I've ever had. So of course I'm going to their wedding, and as our group appointed dad, my attendance was damn near required. Also, seeing what was going on at home at the time, I could do with a little sightseeing. As I spent my week ambling through the grounds or taking my horse down to the old town road, though the air hung heavy with summer's usual thick jacket, my mind kept sweeping itself to a rainy night in the spring of 2016. Friendship origin stories, like dreams, are the type of things that are only interesting to people going through them. So I appreciate you for allowing me this indulgence, and I promise to try and make it brief. It was the last day of midterms, and therefore the last day before spring break, and we were playing League of Legends in the laundry room, as we usually did, which is certainly another story for another time. Anyway, somehow, some way, and for no particular reason I have to stress to you, we stayed up all night. We simply decided we weren't going to sleep anymore. I suppose the thing about human will is that it isn't human would or should, is it? We went up to our multi-purpose room and commandeered it for ourselves, IDF style. The play-by-play has gotten blurry with time, but the highlights remain fresh in the back of my head. We played 5 more hours of League until it was about 1 or 2 a.m., drank 4 cases of Red Apple's ale because that was the only alcohol we actually liked, and pretended that it was enough to get us drunk. And then we had the tastiest batch of insomnia cookies at 3 a.m., all cuddled on the couch while watching Shrek. Most importantly, around 4 a.m., we built a blanket fort. I think I had said something about never building one before because as a kid, that's just not something that was ever offered to me. I low-key thought it was just some white people shit that maybe only happened in Full House or whatever. But instead of laughing at me, we built one. This photo was taken at 4:59 a.m. on March 11th, 2016. And that's the moment I realized I might love these weirdos forever. In that cold multi-purpose room that always smelled like burnt popcorn and reheated fish was the first time I genuinely felt like I was safe around a group of people. Different than fitting in with a group of guys because we all hooped for the same team or have the shared proximity of a tarred road that becomes gridiron with enough young sweat on it. I didn't feel like they accepted me. I felt like we accepted each other. I look at that picture now and realize it's almost been 10 years since then. Damn, I'm old. Lately, I've been thinking about the new phrase du jour, the cost of community is inconvenience. It is ironic, though no less cringe, that the crux of the digital paradox is that it's easier than ever to see community online, but it's never been harder to show up in person. I mean, there's 1,000 discords to join, but no one knows how to set up a damn Sunday dinner anymore. In my opinion, community has to be cultivated like a healthy diet, and internet friends are kind of like carbs. I mean, carbs aren't all bad. They're accessible and a great source of energy, especially before a workout. What matters more is the type and the amount. If you're living your life eating only carbs, your body may function, but you'll always feel a little off. And listen, I'm not one to judge on a diet. I survived through grad school on 5 days of ramen a week plus Uber Eats on Sunday as a treat. Likewise, people have taken up their time with daily communications via social media, but still feel a hollow void where consistent, nutrient-dense community should be. As it is often said, we need a rich tapestry of colleagues, friends, and acquaintances to make us feel seen in our world. There's levels to this shit. So yeah, I agree with the phrase, the cost of community is inconvenience. It's not a hot take in most circles, but I didn't really feel how true it was until I sat with 10 other people in a small chapel, surrounded by the beauty of what happens when you stack enough bricks on top of one another. I'm not, or I wasn't, the biggest fan of weddings. I guess I just hadn't given much thought to it, and it truly surprised me, but I cried during the ceremony, across the aisle from the bride's sister, who was also crying. Because I mean, don't you just love it when a plot comes together? I find myself in the time of my life where everyone I know is leaving to sow their own post-degree seeds elsewhere. And I love that, I really do. Because I also hope to one day venture from the soil I was scooped out of to establish a homestead of my own, if they still make homes by the time I can afford them. But I can't help from seeing the sneaky trap that's being laid out in front of us. I'm gonna cut to the chase. We all can't leave Bedford for Brooklyn. Not in this economy. There's not enough boba shops to fit all of us. Bedford, to pull from It's a Wonderful Life, doesn't even have to be a place geographically, but it does need to be recognized as a community. You know, the other month in CJ the X's Kill the Internet book club, we read The Disappearance of Rituals by Byung-Chul Han, which gave me a lot of helpful perspective on this. In Disappearance, Han describes how rituals stabilize time. Think about, in your childhood, how you went to your aunt with the unusually large Coca-Cola memorabilia collection. You know the one. And how you did that basically like every summer. You could sort of pace your life through how you've changed from visit to visit, because the act of going to Aunt Doreen's is the same each summer. The only difference that you can ascertain is the fact that you have the knowledge that you went last summer. That's, in a very literal sense, how you know time has passed. In their repetitiveness, rituals provide predictability to the human experience, which makes life last, makes it feel like it's moving in an enduring fashion. This is one of my favorite quotes. Han says, "Repetition as a form of recognition is a form of completion." My homies not only recognize me as real, because obviously real recognize real, but they also complete me by enabling me to engage in a life worth living. My friends are my proof of existence. They remind me that I'm not here alone, but here for something more than myself, the bonds we've developed together over time. So asking why would I quote unquote inconvenience myself for Steve and Carisha, no offense, but seems like a stupid question to me. How could I be inconvenienced when I think you're essential? You guys are my calming rock, my trusted confidence, and the best bot lane this side of the Chesapeake. I literally have now gone to the end of the earth for these two, and I would again in a heartbeat. Because through them, through y'all, I'm talking now specifically to you, Stephen and Carisha, I'm able to see the best in myself. And I don't know, that's the beautiful thing about friendship. That it's a mirror that not only reflects, but reconstructs. And I believe that this bond is so strong, that this feeling is so intense because we've built this version of Bedford, brick by brick, by ourselves. And even if we never own houses, I couldn't be in a happier home. I don't know if I say it enough. I feel like we say it pretty often, but it can never be said too much. I love you guys. And I didn't get to do a toast at the real wedding because Steven's dad did a toast, then Carisha's dad tried to go toast for toast, and they were both already drunk, so neither one of them made much sense, but it still felt like it was a moment that I shouldn't insert myself in. So here's my toast. Here's what I would have said. To the bride and groom. and thanks for swatching.
Okay, now this is the part that I love.